So I'm here with my southern sister Angie, and this is a last minute episode. We're going to be doing kind of a Thanksgiving special today. How you doing, Angie, with your red lipstick
I'm
on?
good. I'm really good. I've been working on a bunch of recipes. I'm really not a big fan of Thanksgiving food, but so I'm trying to create some things that are more suited to people that just don't like it. Because like this year, we're not even doing the whole like family dinner thing. Like we're going out somewhere. We're going to Helen, Georgia,
Good.
and we're going to go eat German food.
So
Just
for those who don't know what Helen, Georgia is, Helen, Georgia is a trip. It's like you wander into a totally different dimension when you go into Helen, Georgia. Helen, Georgia is like a little German town in the middle of northern Georgia. And let me just tell y'all who are not from America, are not from the Southeast, when you look at the settlement of the United States, if we're believing what the controllers tell us, the Northeast is more Italian, heavy Irish. The Southeast is predominantly English. And then New Orleans is French and Spanish. So the fact that and that's why all of us, like Angie's last name is Tillman, my last name is Watson. That's why I grew up with a lot of Thomases, Johnsons. That's why we all have very English sounding
yeah,
last.
my maiden name was Burnham, like Burnham.
Yeah, and actually, I watched this fascinating video about the American accent, and I knew this from college when I studied diphthongs in college that the like if you look back at Shakespearean times, the actual proper Shakespearean accent would be a Southern American accent. That was how they spoke back then, was a Southern American accent, like a nice, not like a hickey accent, but like a nice, like a Scarlett O'Hara,
Uh-huh.
kind of the way our friend Jessica speaks, right? Very nice Southern accent. How y'all do? And that was, and then it evolved. And as we separated, the accents and the languages started to change. So I thought that was fascinating. And so the fact that there's little German, now I have a lot of German in me as well. I have the Stroms. My grandmother was a Strom. That's German. My great grandmother, my dad's mom's family immigrated from Germany.
So did my dad's my dad's mom's dad immigrated from Germany.
Right before World War One.
He's actually the table I'm sitting at right now. He built this table, and he was an inventor. He invented the futon sofa. He had the patent for it. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Cool. Conrad Pissarra.
Conrad. Yeah, it was a lot of Germans came over right before World War One. I think they kind of saw the writing on the wall and were like, we're just gonna mosey on out of here before World War One broke out. So now
all three of his girls, he never had boys, but so all three of his girls are Gertrude, Margaret, and Olivia. So it's all like
very German.
Very German.
Yeah, the Stroms, my other German line, they came like in the 1600s, so they've been here for a while. But it's very both sides of my family, the blonde hair, the blue eyes are very dominant. But actually both sides of my family, it's all blue-eyed people. There's no brown-eyed people at all. So, but you see that. And so Helen, Georgia, the first time I went to Helen, Georgia, it was for my sister's bachelorette party. And I drove up separately. And so I was in my little Jetta at the time, my Volkswagen Jetta, and I missed a turn and I ended up like downtown Helen. And it was like a bikers convention. And I was like, what the hell kind of time warp is this? What dimension did I slip into? I had no idea because we just never went there. I don't really have Georgia roots. The only Georgia roots I have is Quitman, which is down in the South Georgia. All my mom's family and my dad's family are not from Georgia. So we didn't spend a whole lot of time. Like when we had time off school, we were typically in South Carolina on the beach or the Low Country with my mom's family.
Yeah.
So, and there's kind of that, I will say, I think you kind of know, like in the Southeast, like you have these kind of like almost snobberies within states, like rivalries.
Yes.
And my mom's family, it was very important that we knew that we were Low Country. We were not Georgian, even though my dad's mother is from Georgia, but we were Low Country. We were South Carolinian. That was we were Charlestonian. Like that was very like I didn't even go my first trip to Savannah, Georgia. I was an adult. And Savannah is very close to Charleston, but it's because if you're from Charleston, you don't go to Savannah.
Uh-uh.
It's trashy compared to Charleston.
I'm going to be there next week.
I love Savannah.
Uh-huh.
The first time I went to Savannah, I was like, I don't care how trashy they think this is. This place is fun. Like, I love Savannah.
I'm hoping to take Rosie to some of the places, you know, kind of around the Midnight in the Garden.
Good. Oh,
Look.
I did a whole. I have a whole series, you guys. I will put that in the description box. I have a whole Savannah series,
Yeah.
And I covered. You know what we should do, Angie? We should talk to Jessica. We should plan a girls' trip to Savannah.
Yeah.
And go and to that house. I freaking love Savannah. It's close, only like 3 hours from me, probably closer to you.
4 hours. It takes me 4 hours.
Oh, really? I'm only like 3 hours with Atlanta. I guess because we hop like right on 20.
Maybe.
That takes right into. No, it's 16. I go 75 to Macon, and at Macon I turn and go 16 all the way to the coast.
Yeah.
And it's right there. So Savannah's technically, for you guys who are not familiar with the South, Charleston is a coastal town, New Orleans is a coastal town, but Savannah is technically considered a river town.
Yeah.
Which is funny. They have like River Street, which I will say River Street now is like very touristy. They have great restaurants. It's right on the river. And I remember I was there with friends once and we were sitting at a restaurant. I remember thinking, I wonder if this was where all the brothels were.
Yeah.
And that night we went on a ghost tour in Savannah and the guy was like, this is where the brothels were. And I was like, I can't do it, man. Maybe I was peddling some sex work back in those days and that's how I knew it. But yeah, it was where all the boats would come in. So the brothels were there. But it's weird. It's a river town because the beach is like, it's pretty coastal too.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Because you have Tybee Island right out from it. So, yeah.
On the beach, but like the coast is there, but I guess the town faces more towards the Savannah River. But y'all, if you're ever in Savannah, and I will say Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, that book that then was made into a movie, during that time when the guy that was charged with the murder, you guys will have to watch the movie if you or read the book. And it's based on a true story. That guy was a designer. Savannah was so rough at that point. They were starting to bring in, or these designers were coming in and like revamping the old antebellum homes, try to like bring the city back to life with all the historic stuff there. Kind of like the way Charleston is very pristine in its preservation of history. And there is a saying, I've said it before, the three sisters of the South. Charleston is considered the beautiful sister, Savannah is considered the dirty sister, and New Orleans is the wicked sister. And those are the three sisters of the South. And but Savannah's fun. It's fun. Has Rosie ever been there?
She has, but never like this. So it's just going to be the two of us. And I really wanted to do something completely different, and we're going to do some shopping, of course, because, she wants to go shopping. She's 17. But I want to take her to cemeteries. And I actually know one of the family members of the guy from Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil.
Really?
And so she's telling me all the places to go, and we're going to get to go on some free tours, I think. So
there's a history to that house. If you guys go to my Scandalous Savannah series, before that murder happened in that house, there was already stuff with that house, which is most of the houses in these old cities. I mean, Savannah was a city built on the dead. So it's especially when the yellow fever went through and killed a bunch of people. And I'll tell you something really freaky about the Low Country. So the Low Country, for those who don't know what that is, that's the coast of Georgia and like southern South Carolina. It's considered, it drops. It's where they had a lot of rice plantations back in the day. And so when you're driving east towards the coast, you get to a certain point where you feel the land just drop down. And so the soil obviously is very different. Now, my ancestors on my mom's side of the family, they immigrated on boats, allegedly, over here, landed in what was called Charlestown then. Now it's Charleston. And we're like, we're good. We're just going to stay here for the next 300 years. And they just did not leave. They got, after that long journey, they just kind of stayed put in this town. But something that's freaky, you can tell Rosie, because this is bad. They have a problem with this in Savannah. And this is another reason why I want to be cremated. When they buried bodies, because of the land, Like if you were you're in Savannah today and you were going to try to exhume a body from like the 1700s and you went to dig it up at its burial plot, the body is not going to be there.
Yeah.
They move because of the tide and the sand, they move. So you could like be renovating your basement and drill a hole and all this stuff.
One of my friends is buried right like in Bonaventure Cemetery, and he's buried right there, kind of like right on the water. Like
oh, he ain't there anymore. He's not there anymore. He gone.
I'm not gonna find out, but I mean, in his funeral, we actually all like shoveled dirt into the grave. I mean, it was so.
You can like, why are we gonna do this? He's gonna be out to sea soon. Like man versus nature. Nature always wins. I hope he had a good casket because man, but Bonaventure, that's it. I actually covered Bonaventure in a lot of stories. Were they in? I can't. When they did the whole voodoo with midnight, were they in Bonaventure Cemetery? I can't remember.
I think so. Yes,
I know the statue, the famous statue, is not there anymore. They had to move it, but it was in Bonaventure Cemetery because after the book came out, and then after the movie was released, everyone was coming to Savannah to see it, and that statue just got completely. They had to remove it into a museum in order to preserve it. But oh my God, there's so many crazy. It's a lot like Oakland Cemetery here in Atlanta. There's so many stories of hauntings and just really interest. This is one of the cemeteries in the South you'll go to, and people will have left like food out for their loved ones, try to appease them.
Liquor bottles like full of liquor.
Oh, liquor bottles are. Listen, you better be leaving me some liquor bottles when I'm dead and gone. It's and the more I work with people, Angie, from other parts of the world, I realize that's very unique to the South.
Actually, this picture behind me on the wall, that's a place down in the Low Country. It's called Groton Plantation. In the middle of nowhere in South Carolina. Groton, South Carolina. But yeah, a friend of mine who lives in Savannah actually painted that. And anyway, yep.
That's a big thing to do in the South too, that we paint our houses. That's a really big thing to do. The house my mom grew up in, there were multiple portraits of that house, and my mom has one of my aunts, and they hang them in their house. And my the house Marianne, my grandmother Marianne grew up in Quitman. She had a painting of it in her house. That's a big, and houses have names a lot. I think that's a very English thing to do, though. I think that comes primarily from the English, but we would name our houses.
I have a name for my house.
What's it called?
The Cattle Gap.
The Cattle Gap.
Yeah. When you pull into my driveway, you drive over like an old,
oh, wow.
Yeah. That's
wow.
my driveway. And so I call it the Cattle Gap, and I'll check in there a lot on Instagram or Facebook. And I've had people go, "Is that a restaurant or something?" I'm like, "No, it's just my house."
That's the thing. Like you think about Gone with the Wind, Tara. They had the name for their plantation. That was very normal back in those days. Have you ever been out to Barnsley Gardens, Angie, in Adairsville? What Gone with the Wind is based off of. My sister got married out there. We should go out. I mean, I don't. Okay, when I was a kid, Barnsley Gardens, that's allegedly the family that Margaret, what was her name? My mind's gone blank. The lady who wrote Gone with the Wind.
Mitchell.
That's it, Margaret Mitchell. She's buried here in Atlanta at an Oakland Cemetery. Apparently, she based the O'Hara family off of the Barnsleys. That's what they say. When I was a kid, it was just the ruins because the house burnt down. And we would go on a field trip to see the ruins of this old plantation. But since then, since I was a child, that was a really long time ago, a prince from somewhere bought it and like turned it into this like really swanky resort. Really swanky. And so you have to pay to get in now. And they've really, like my sister got married like in the ruins. They've kept the gardens really nice. And yeah, it's in Adairsville, Georgia, which is just up 75 from Atlanta. But it makes sense with the story because you remember when she goes to Atlanta burns down, and Adairsville is probably about like an hour outside of Atlanta, north of Atlanta, heading towards Chattanooga. So in a car for us today, now you think about that back when horses and buggies would have been a lot longer of a ride into Atlanta from. And then Rhett Butler, I'll tell you guys a really funny story. He was from Charleston, South Carolina. Rhett Butler, her.
Yes.
Um,
Frankly, my dear.
I don't give a damn. He's a fictional character, not a real character. And when I was at my high school, which was a private boarding and day school, there was a boarding student who was also from Charleston. And she lived right there. Her parents lived right there in the Battery, like right where all the old houses are. And she said in the summertime, for fun, her and her cousins would take like a piece of construction paper with a Sharpie and write, Rhett Butler slept here, and stick it in the window and see how many tourists would come knock on their door, the mama's door, to take a picture.
There's a guy here in town. His name is Rhett Butler.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
His parents did not do him a favor. No, I'm just kidding. Rhett Butler was the suavest of all the men in that.
He was so bad that you just wanted him, like he was sexy, because, like that scene where he says something like, you need to be kissed or something like that. And kissed
well, she was in love with Ashley, the man Ashley, who married his cousin. Yeah, that's a very scandalous story. I mean, your cousin, come on. And then she had this like very passionate relationship, but then he just like left her at the end because it's a classic. If y'all have not seen Gone with the Wind, you'll see why Angie and I are the way we are if you watch Gone with the Wind.
Yeah, you will.
My favorite scene too is when she's holding the bedpost and the slave is like pulling it tight,
cinching her waist,
pull it tighter. I'm holding on.
I'm really going to need it after Thanksgiving. I've been cooking and just trying to work on different things. I'm giving it to friends that are like by themselves. Yeah. But
should we bring that? Because I mean, listen, honey, we still are. Our Spanx are from Atlanta. Like,
yes, right.
If y'all don't know what Spanx are, that's like the modern day girdle. Mm-hmm. I got a pair of Spanx. My mama's got some. We all got Spanx, and they're from Atlanta. So
yeah,
they're awful. It's horrible. You can't breathe.
I know. I don't get it because I've tried to wear them and I'm like, it's just not. I can't.
It's awful.
I'd rather just wear baggy stuff so I can eat.
As my grandma, my mama's mama would say, pride bears no pain. Like beauty is pain. Suck it up. Put that girdle on. And I never saw my grandma Maxine, my mom's mama. I never saw her without high heels on. I never saw her without a dress on. I never saw her without her pearls on. Her nails, and now I respect that about her, were always perfectly painted. She never had chipped nails. Like, she was pristine. I mean, she was terrible. No,
but I'm waiting. I'm like, well, I'm going to go out of town. I'm going to have all fresh nails when I go. But yes,
I don't have any on right now. My grandmother would I remember her, she would sit at her vanity and like touch her nails up every single morning. She would touch her nails up. And when I would spend the night with her, when I was a little kid, my grandfather died when I was 4. So then when I would spend the night with her, I would sleep in the bed with her as a child. And when he was alive, I remember sleeping in the middle of them. But she would wear, I think about this today, she would wear the most elegant nightgowns. Like beautifully embroidered nightgowns with like matching silk robes.
So I'm kind of like that, Bryce. I'm always in, like, I stay home a lot. I work out of my house a lot, and I'm pretty much always in like silky, like pajama sets and gowns and things. I don't know where I get it from, because I really don't know.
Oh, my grandma would be so proud of you. She would wear, I mean, I've gotten better. I used to sleep in like baggy t-shirts and granny panties. I've gotten better about it. Mm-hmm. My boyfriend's very happy about that, but I've gotten better about wearing actual pajamas. But no, she was like done up every night.
Yeah. I mean, I walk up and down the road here. People see me all the time in my pajamas, just my gowns and things.
Well, she didn't do that. And I will say, there was one time I told this story. I forgot did I say this with you and Jessica with the Piggly Wiggly?
Yes, she did. Yeah.
My mama was so upset when I gone to that Piggly Wiggly all sweaty, like in the South, and that my grandmother's generation, like you, even if you were going to go to the grocery store, you wear your hat and your gloves and your pearls.
Yeah.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Yes. Well, and now, living in a college town, there's college kids are always in their pajama bottoms and slippers, even at the Kroger, and so it's kind of, I don't know, you just, Rosie
Always in
really
yoga
gets, she's always in like a tank top and pajama pants and UGG slippers to town.
Yeah, it's so different. It's so different. But speaking of the Southern ladies, the old Southern stuff, this is where we get a lot of our Thanksgiving dishes. And I think it's a good time to celebrate like the Southern dishes. And last week on Aquarius Solutions, when we were doing the Sophia Code of closing it up, I started talking about a dish called pineapple casserole, which is one of the biggest Southern dishes at Thanksgiving, you guys. And everybody was going off in the comment section. Now, I will say, Angie, food is one thing we are known for here in the South, correct?
Yes, yes. I mean, when I first started my company, I would do hashtag foodies. Like that was what I put on everything all over Twitter because everybody's all, it's food, food, food. It's kind of a very gluttonous area.
Yes. We have soul food too. It's considered soul food. And I don't know where we get it from in the South, because I'm just going to be frank, since we all are, most of us are very English in our descent. England's not known for their food. It's very, very bland. They're not known for their food at all. I lived in England. I never had so many stomach problems in my life. Like it's awful. The food is terrible in England. And then our ancestors immigrated over here. Maybe it's because we just have access to better produce because the weather is better down here. I don't know. But pineapple casserole is one of, and you're right. I will say, Angie, when you said about like Thanksgiving foods that people like, when I was a kid, I hated Thanksgiving because I hated the food. I hated all the casseroles. I hated it. I just wanted the desserts.
Yeah.
And now I think people are being a little bit more sensitive to that. And pineapple casserole is something most kids really do like because it's sweet and savory. It's pineapple, Ritz crackers, sugar, sharp cheddar cheese, butter. That's about it, right?
Oh, good. It's right up there with pear salad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And to tell people what pear I talked about, and I forgot the sharp cheddar cheese. Tell people what I was talking about that on Aquarius Rising Africa. What's pear salad for our
just canned pears, in the cans, they're halved without the seed in the middle, without the stone part. And you just lay them out on a platter and then you put a dollop of mayonnaise and then sprinkle with cheddar cheese, shredded cheese. And it's a salty, savory, and it's cheap.
So cheap. And
every time I make it, nobody eats it but me.
It's old school Southern. Yeah, it's old school Southern. So that's what it looks like, you guys. You can put a cherry on top. Yeah, it's old school Southern. So yeah, leaves of lettuce, be it iceberg or plain Jane, romaine, a long pear half and a canned one at that. So it's canned. Yeah, you have to use canned. Even somebody asked me, can you use a real pear? And even my boyfriend was like, no, you have to eat. And he's so organic. He was like, no, for a pear salad.
Well, tell him I do kind of a fancier version of it sometimes. And I'll do like blue cheese crumbles on a fresh pear. So,
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, and it's delicious. I do that sometimes.
This is so quick and easy. Like if you've got like coming over, you can just quickly pop open a can of pear, wallop a daub of mayonnaise, put some shredded cheddar and a cherry on top of lettuce, and boom, there you go. And my favorite was someone was like, every time my mama pulled out a pear salad, I knew the preacher was coming over. What else? Well, I know Jessica was talking about hash brown casserole, which is something we typically don't make. You want to talk a little bit about that, Angie?
I never make that either, but it sounded delicious. I love potatoes.
I know, me too. I'm pulling it up right now. So hash brown. So you even have Cracker Barrel has a recipe. Let's see if let's do Southern Living.
Didn't she say that's the recipe she uses? I think
the Cracker Barrel one. I just pulled up Southern Living because that's like the more notorious. And guys, I'm going to share all these recipe links in the description box below. So if you want to try these recipes, you're welcome to, especially for our friends who are not from the United States or who are not from the South and have never heard of this stuff. So hash brown casserole is easy, cheesy, and totally delicious. The simple casserole is made easy with frozen hash browns. So copycat Crackle Barrel hash brown casserole just needs 5 minutes of prep time, making it a great side or potluck dish. It's a perfect breakfast casserole. I say that about pineapple casserole because pineapple casserole takes it's so easy.
I've heard of people doing this, or I've actually tasted it before where they used frozen tater tots.
Yeah, well, that's what. Well, actually, he's gonna make some of this stuff. So he actually went and got the recipe and I saw that we have a bags of frozen tater tots in our.
Yep.
My friends, am not. I told Angie it might be comical one day if she tried to teach me to cook because I just don't know. I'm not that. I'm good at many things in this world. Cooking is not one of them. So yeah, that's the hash brown casserole. I also wanted to talk about, before we get into some of your stories, Angie, let's talk a minute about sweet tea.
Yes. I'm always asked to bring the sweet tea. I make really good sweet tea and I do it in the microwave.
Well, so I follow this English guy on Instagram. He's hysterical. And he spent like 3 months touring around the United States and made these hysterical videos. And he just got back to the United Kingdom and he made a video of what Americans do better. And one of the things, it was this last thing, he said, I'm so sorry to say this to my fellow Brits, but the Southern Americans do tea way better than we do. And I happen to agree with him. Hot tea is not, I know you love your teapots, but it's not common here, is it? There's not a lot.
It's not.
You're not going to go to a restaurant and have options to get hot tea.
Unless it's like a Chinese restaurant, maybe.
Right. You're not going to go to your friend's house and have your friend put the kettle on. Like, that's not going to happen in the South. Why is it not going to happen? It's too damn hot most of the time. It is literally too hot to drink hot tea in the middle of the afternoon here in the South. It's just not. I mean, I
need to ask my Aunt Kathy about this because she used to have a tea room down in Leesburg, Georgia. It was called Sip of Grace. It's not there anymore. It burned down years ago. And I wonder, because when I went to it with both of my grandmas, I took both from each side. We went and had tea there. We did do the hot tea. But I have a feeling that a lot of the people that went there probably just asked for sweet tea.
Yeah, if you go to a restaurant here in the South and you ask for tea, they're going to ask you sweet or unsweet, and it's going to be ice. It's going to be cold. It's not going to be it's going to be in a glass with ice.
With a lemon.
With a lemon, and usually people say a sweet tea, right? They'll usually say that, and that's just what's expected. Nobody in most restaurants are going to even think. It's like, when I was a kid, I remember somebody came in our 5th grade class and was talking to us about sense memory. And they asked us to write down or draw. I can't remember if it was draw or write down. We were like in the 5th grade. The guy said certain words and he said to write down or draw what we see. And one of those was ski. And almost everyone drew water skis on a lake. Nobody drew skis in the snow. And so it's that sense memory. So if you're from the South, or if you come to visit in the South, if you're from another country, especially England, where you drink a lot of tea, and you come visit Charleston or Savannah or New Orleans, and you go to a restaurant and you want tea, they're going to bring you iced sweet tea. And it's really, really good. And it's really refreshing.
Yeah, my grandma in Sylvester, Gertrude, her tea was like syrup. It was so sweet. I don't know if she put 2 cups of sugar in that 2-quart container or what, but it was just like syrup or syrup.
It's
I don't put that much sugar in mine. I do a little less than a cup of sugar to 2 quarts. 2 Lipton iced tea family size bags. Microwave for 4 minutes with about 4 cups of water, and then just almost a cup of sugar, and then I just fill up the rest of the pitcher with water, and it's perfect every time.
Sweet tea is regarded as an important regional staple in the cuisine of the Southern United States. So it's a staple. Oh, my grandparents, every time we go to my grandparents' house, there was always a pitcher of tea. There was never not a pitcher of sweet tea. Now, my dad's mom, who was from Quitman, the South Georgia, they make their sweet tea a little bit different. They put pineapple juice in their sweet tea.
Yep. Yeah.
And her sweet tea always tasted very different from my other grandmother's.
There's a restaurant here in town in Athens, I think, that does that. They have
Pineapple juice. It's from South Georgia. And I've never made sweet tea because y'all don't even really know how to boil an egg. So, but I've been trying to find, because my grandmother is no longer alive, my grandfather and my grandmother, and I've been trying to find her recipe for sweet tea just to have it because it's so unique. It's not what you have in a typical Southern, and she did something. So, that's one thing I wanted to talk about, Angie, because people who are not from the South don't seem to understand what our biscuits are. They all think that what we call biscuits are scones.
Well, I've got the Biscuit Queens book right here. This is Natalie Dupree's book. When I was growing up, I don't know which way it goes. Anyway, Mastering the Art of Southern Cooking. It's a huge book, very heavy and big. Years ago, I was sitting, well, first of all, when I was a child, this was the first TV cook that I ever watched. She and Justin Wilson. Justin Wilson did the like New Orleans style food, and Natalie did more of like, she was in Georgia. She used to have a restaurant here called the Blue Willow in Social Circle, Georgia. And now she lives up in like Raleigh, Durham area, but she lived in Charleston for several years also. 100 Queen Street. I can say the address now because she's not there anymore. But so I grew up watching her, and I dreamed of being Natalie Dupree. I always wanted my own cooking show, and I was just going to be just like Natalie Dupree. I would pretend, like a lot of girls would like pretend they're teachers playing school or mamas. I pretended that I was a TV cook. And this was before food
channel, right? Where you're going to cook, right?
And this was before Food Network, because I watched her on GPTV. Yeah. And she made such a mess with flour because she was always making biscuits. And so my best friend, Meg, who died in 2016, got her recipe from Natalie Dupree with her biscuits. And she called them biscuits because she would make them small. And everybody loved her biscuits, And so, and she'd serve them with peach fluff. But anyway, yeah, I've got Natalie Dupree's stuff right here. She says in here, she's like I'll just read like a little short clip. Biscuits are the quintessential Southern bread. They come in all shapes and sizes, whether delicately holding a bit of jam or butter or sturdily encasing ham. We dream about them, praise them in stories, legends in song, and bake endless variations. And there's so many different versions in this book. But so I'm planning on going to visit her. She says she wants me to come and stay with her, and she's going to teach me how to make biscuits. I've never made them from scratch.
No, my mama my mom really didn't cook that much either, but my mother would just pop them out of the can that you can get at the Piggly Wiggly. But my grandmother's, my grandmother from South Georgia would make drop biscuits where I would watch her make it. She would make it and she would drop them and let them splatter on the cooking sheet, whereas most of them are round. And so, Angie, let's make this very clear with our friends from overseas.
They're not scones.
They're not. And I've had so many people say that, and they it's like they don't think I know what I'm talking about. Y'all, we have scones down here in the South. Scones exist down here. Biscuits are not scones. They're totally different. And I have been fortunate enough in my life to literally travel the world multiple times. The United States is the only place where I have ever experienced biscuits. Biscuits are not sweet. They're very savory. They're very buttery and flaky. And that's what she was saying. Yeah, you can put jam. You can eat a biscuit plain and it's just as good with butter. Or you put jam in it. People can put gravy on them. I don't eat meat, but some people put like ham and bacon in them. I'm just going to show you guys some. So Angie, when we get off, will you send me a good recipe or link to the recipe? I'll put it in the description box so people can if they want to play with this. So yeah, these are so that's what my mama would buy. She would just pop it open. And biscuits, y'all, the English call cookies biscuits. Biscuits are totally different, a totally different thing here in the South. This is more like the biscuits I'm talking about. Like this is not, they're not.
There's even a vodka brand called Cat Head. Because there's
really?
Cat Head biscuits are a big thing, and they're huge.
Yeah. they're flaky too. They're not like scones can be a little bit hard.
Mhm.
Biscuits are very flaky. If a biscuit's hard, you burnt it. Like that's not good. It's very flaky. And they're different from rolls too. The rolls are very, very different as well. I'm trying to look. Does Southern Living have a recipe? I'm shocked Southern Living did not come up with a recipe for biscuits, but here's the first recipe that came up. The perfect mom on timeout, the perfect homemade biscuits every time. Let me share a screen here. I'll put this down in the, I don't know if this recipe is good or not, but it's the first one that popped up. And yeah, that's not sweet. That's butter, y'all. It's not. For our friends overseas, we know what we're talking about. We're from the South. We have scones in the South.
Mhm.
Biscuits are not scones. And they can be eaten at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They're for all meals, right? There's one with some
so bad.
It is so, I don't eat, I guess I don't eat meat, but I hear that Chick-fil-A's breakfast biscuit with the chicken is really good. People love the actually, I'll pull that up so you guys can see what I'm talking about.
Maybe it is good, Bryce. It is. It's
if you
real
see
good.
the chicken in it, maybe you'll understand that it's not a effing scone. That people see, they just don't want to accept that a biscuit is its own thing. Chick-fil-A breakfast biscuit. Okay, biscuit sandwich. Whoops, not price. I meant to do sandwich. Okay, let's just do images here.
I even had 2 cats whenever I was about like 14. I remember getting these 2 kittens, and I named one biscuit and one gravy.
Yeah. Look at this, guy. So that's egg, sausage, cheese. You would not put that in a scone. Like this, it's not sweet. They're not sweet. They're savory. That's a typical biscuit in the South. That's a morning breakfast biscuit right there with a slab of chicken in the middle.
It's kind of fun. The other thing about Thanksgiving too, we've got the biscuit and the scone. That's completely different, but also the difference between dressing and stuffing.
Yes. What are all the things that we do differently down here in the South? So go ahead. Difference between dressing and stuffing.
Yeah. So dressing is, and the way I understand it is here in the South, you never know what the weather's going to be like on Thanksgiving, and you've got that turkey you've cooked and you stuff it with like a bread mixture. It's like bread, stuff it. Well, in the South, a lot of times like this would be left out, and the bacteria from the turkey would not stay at the right temperature long enough or whatever. And then people would get sick from that. I think I've heard this story before. I just remember somebody telling me this.
To me, it's going to be warm on Thanksgiving than on Thursday. You're going to be wearing a tank top.
Yeah. So then people started putting it, just doing it in a casserole dish. Yeah. And so that's dressing the turkey instead of stuffing the turkey.
Yeah. We don't put it inside the turkey down here. Someone from the North and I were talking about that. I was like, no, we don't do that. Y'all, you guys in the North realize, I
honestly can't do that anyway. It's just, sometimes
it cracks me up because I'm like, our North are I know in the North it snows in the winter. I know what the weather's like in the North, but do people in the North not understand, we're the Sun Belts? That's actually what we're called. That's actually this whole belt from Texas all the way to South Carolina is considered the Sun Belt. We were talking about, Angie, Christmases where we're in shorts and tank tops.
Yeah, I think the last time we filmed before we went on record, we were talking about this. My great grandmother, rest her soul, she lived out in Oregon, and one year she knitted these toilet paper roll covers for everybody in the family. They looked like hats, like toboggans, like a little ski hat with a little fluff thing on the top, and she put eyes on them, and they had faces. And she got so upset because we took a family picture of all of us together, and we were all in shorts. I just remember we were all in shorts. It was hot on Christmas Day in Albany, Georgia, or Sylvester. And we put the hats, those things on top of our head, and she was so upset because she was like, "They're not hats; they're for the toilet paper rolls." But we were just trying to be funny because it was so hot. And they look like hats, they look like hats. So anyway, sad.
Yeah.
Sad. Florence.
We were all in shorts on Christmas Day. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Welcome to the South. We
Yeah.
don't know white Christmases down here. And thank God for that. Could you imagine though if we got like a snowstorm over Christmas, the power would shut off.
Uh-huh.
There would be no milk in the grocery. I mean, kids would have a miserable they wouldn't be able. And the thing about it, when the few times it has snowed down here, because we don't have, like, I know in some places where it snows heavily, they put the power lines under the ground. We don't have that here. So when we do have a freak storm, power lines get pulled down. And so that means that most of the time kids can't really even go outside and play unless they have an adult there to make sure there's no power lines for them to accidentally step on. And so that would not be good for our little chillins. I mean, I have last year I went and bought gloves. I don't think I've ever, I mean, I have ski gloves from when we used to go to Colorado to ski, but I don't think I've ever purchased gloves for the winter. Like there's no need for gloves.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not necessary here. And and that's kind of, but that the fact that we live in the Sun Belt does inform the way our culture has developed around iced tea versus hot tea.
Uh-huh.
Dressing versus stuffing. What is it? What do they call a sweet potato casserole? What is that called up north? That's called something different.
No, I don't know. Is it Yorkshire pudding or something like that? Is that something
No,
similar? What is that? That's like a bread pudding, I think.
let me hold
know.
on. Sweet potato. What is sweet potato casserole? What is sweet potato casserole? So I know it's called yams. They're called yams. Yams, and we call them sweet potatoes down here. But sweet potatoes, I am not a huge sweet potato casserole is a staple in the South, but I am actually not. I think we talked about this, didn't we, Angie?
Yeah, the sweet potato is already sweet. Don't add sugar and marshmallows to it, but that's what they do. I'm like, no,
I'm trying to find
sweet potato. I just want butter, salt, and pepper.
I was thinking Southern Living would have a recipe, but I don't see that. So sweet potato. So whenever sweet potato casserole is presented, I usually get a glob of it, and then I eat the marshmallows off the top.
See, you like the sweet stuff. I can't.
Oh, this one doesn't have marshmallows. Okay, hold on. Let me go back and find one that does have marshmallows. Because marshmallows, that's the Southern way to do it, isn't it? With the marshmallows on top.
Ugh. Right. I know you love it. I see. I can't do it.
Marshmallows off of it. But you're right. The marshmallows with the sweet potatoes, to me, is not a good combination. So I can't get the pictures up. Oh, here it is. Okay, here it is. I'm on my laptop, which is not the greatest at pulling up pictures. Here we go. So they put pecans on it as well. Sweet potatoes. So I would just eat the little marshmallows off the top of it. I do the same with pecan pie, though. I scrape the pecans off the top and just eat the gooey stuff. I'm like a 5-year-old.
Yes.
At 40, I still do this.
I'm very much like savory. Like right here, I was trying to perfect. I don't really like green bean casserole.
Oh, I don't either. Yeah.
It's usually made with like a can of cream and mushroom soup from Campbell's, and it's a staple at every Thanksgiving. But I mean, I did this like green beans with like slivered almonds. But I do mine, y'all, with sauteed mushrooms. And see if you can see them.
And that look good. Yours looks.
That's a mushroom, and I do like pine nuts instead of almonds. These are toasted pine nuts, and just sauteed green beans. And then instead of buying the can of those fried onions that people put on top, I take a shallot and just thinly slice it and just fry it for just less than a minute, and it's delicious. But and then sometimes I'll sprinkle like Parmesan cheese on top. But that's how I make my green beans.
Will you send me your recipe? I'm going to put here. Campbell's actually has a green bean casserole recipe here. So I'm going to show people what you're talking about who aren't familiar what it traditionally kind of looks like, because yours looks way better. But yeah, that's traditionally green bean casserole. Why do you think people started making casseroles at Thanksgiving and Christmas instead of just making green beans and potatoes? And
right. I do a steamed artichoke. So I do. That's another thing I like to do. I'll send you some pictures, Bryce, that you can use on here. But if you want to, I like to steam an artichoke and just have that kind of.
Oh yeah.
And I do a sage butter because sage is an herb that is used in a lot of traditional Thanksgiving meals, like especially the dressing or the stuffing will have that sage. And a lot of people use rosemary. I'm allergic to rosemary, but I use a lot of sage. Like the other night, I was just kind of doing this for a friend and kind of a little Friendsgiving thing, and we did like steamed artichoke with sage butter. You don't have to have meat. You don't have to.
No. I mean, with all the casseroles people bring too. I mean, I am actually my boyfriend and I were talking about this morning, how miserable Friday morning is going to be.
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm doing a festival Friday morning, so I'm gonna, I've got to be at Blue Canoe.
That's when you got to get you some Spanx. Sung it in. Yeah, but it's heavy food, isn't it? It's like it's supposed to be heavy. It's supposed to be like a feast. It's not supposed to be a meal. It's supposed to be a feast. I will say I prefer, with my family, I actually prefer the hors d'oeuvres.
Yes.
That they have. Now, of course, with my family, usually while we're waiting to eat, that's when people are getting like rip roaring drunk, because as Angie taught me, I guess that's what Presbyterians do.
Yeah. Well, for me, back whenever I was complying and going to places I didn't want to go to for Thanksgiving, I don't do that anymore. But back then, I would carry in a Bloody Mary. Yeah. Because I was going to need some kind of spirit in me,
Listen, so every family member of mine has a bar in their house. That's normal in the South, isn't it, Angie? A lot of people have bars in their house. It's very normal. Or you'll walk into someone's house. It might not be a full bar, but there might be like a closet. Well, really nice. People will open it and there's like a bar there. And so I'll drink my rum and my cranberry juice. And my Aunt Kathy always brings this, and it's the simplest hors d'oeuvre, and I don't know what it is, but it's so freaking good. I could sit there all day and just eat that for Thanksgiving meal. It's like a white cheese with like an orangey jelly on top of it that you dip a cracker in.
Oh, yeah, it's pepper jelly, right?
Yeah, it's not super spicy, though.
It's like cream cheese.
Okay, is that what it is?
A block of cream cheese. And, I have 2 pepper jellies, and I sell so much of my pepper jellies during this time of the year because it's like everybody's favorite, just easy go-to.
It's so easy.
I don't know the name for it, but we do a block of cream cheese and just pour the pepper jelly over the top, serve with crackers.
Yep, here it is. I found it.
There you go.
I mean, this is why I always laugh like I'm the cheapest date ever, because this is my favorite. Literally, like this is it. I could sit there, and when you put just with crackers or whatever crackers. Whenever we go to Thanksgiving, there's all these like hors d'oeuvres everywhere. And I'll just sit at the hors d'oeuvre table and drink my rum and cranberry juice and shout out on pepper jack or whatever this is. And then by the time we sit down to eat, I'm just like, just a little pineapple casserole. That's fine. That's all I want, because I'm already full from the appetizers.
No, I love to make this. I make it all the time. Because there's nothing to do. I mean, you just it's a block of cream cheese and you just pour the jelly over the top.
You know what? I teach an early morning class tomorrow, and after I'm done teaching, I think I'm going to run by the grocery store. I might have to get did you send us pepper? I want to get more of your pepper jelly.
I don't know if I gave you my pepper jelly. I can't remember.
He's probably eaten it all because he went through your stuff really quickly. So
there's also a company called Pick a Pepper. Ever heard of that? Like, your boyfriend probably has heard of it. Probably you don't do spicy as much as he does, but Pick a Pepper is another thing that people would put over cream cheese. And it's just kind of more of a
I see. It's like a dip, like a I see it
kind of thing.
Yeah, like a hot. No, I can't do super spicy, but that is like I love that. Like I literally actually I'm gonna go pick some up tomorrow at the grocery store. That's gonna be my contribution. My boyfriend, bless his heart, he's gonna be cooking tomorrow, and I'm just gonna be sitting here eating crackers because you don't want me to cook. If I cook for you guys, it's gonna be a disaster. I literally, one time I had to boil an egg not that long ago, and I was home by myself. And so I had to call my mother to ask her how to boil an egg. Nobody taught me this stuff. We didn't have home ec in my high school. And then I never was taught any of this. Like I was never given the how to Anyway, it's fine. I have a partner who
You can
cooks.
cheat though. You can go into the deli section at the grocery store and buy boiled eggs. They're already boiled and peeled, and then you can just cut them in half, scoop out the yolk, and then mix all that up with some mustard and mayonnaise,
A
and
little
then
egg salad.
put it back in, and now you got a deviled egg.
Oh, is that what okay. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Miss Betty Crocker over here. I have no idea what's going on.
You know what? When you say Betty Crocker, when I was in 5th grade, you had the book fairs at school, and that's the book I got. You know, when all the other kids were getting like whatever it was, Nancy Drew,
Boxcar Children.
I bought a Betty Crocker cookbook. Does that not say something? I was 10 years old.
You knew what your Dharma was. Whenever I go to my boyfriend's family's house, they have like stacks and stacks of cookbooks.
Me too.
We didn't have stacks and stacks. And that's why Mama had them hidden somewhere. Like, I didn't see all those cookbooks.
It's my favorite pastime. I'll just sit and just like flip through cookbooks. This one by Natalie doesn't have as very many pictures, so it's not as fun, but I like to see the pictures and things. So, that look at here. It's an egg.
It's an egg. It's an egg. Well, my mother, do you remember my mother having a box, a box with a little cardboard recipe?
Yeah, little recipes.
And actually, the pineapple casserole recipe that we use, my Aunt Debbie took a picture of her little index card and sent it to me, and I have it on a picture. I kind of know it now because it's literally, that's one thing I can make, is the pineapple casserole. But yeah, that was old school where you had it written on your I
still have all those. I still have, like, my dressing recipe was my ex-husband's grandmother's recipe. I don't even know where she got it from. I still have it, like, in her handwriting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My sister's husband, his family is Italian, and so she's learned a lot of Italian. My sister's like Miss Little Homemaker. I'll watch her Instagram, and she's like making homemade bread. I'm like,
I need to follow her. I need to look her up.
Did we grow up in the same house? Like, where did you learn how to do this wizardry? And I didn't learn it. Like, she's patient though, and that's what she does. And it's important to her. She's got 3 kids like you do.
Yeah.
And I think with this all great awakening, she's really trying her best to give them as good a food as she can now that we know what's going on.
Right.
With the world. And so she's really, I know I get on her Insta stories and it's all like pictures of bread she's making. I'm like, I just go to the grocery store and pick a loaf.
Have you ever heard of Kush or Kush, Cush? I was reading in Natalie's book about cornbread dressing, and it says, over the years, former students and employees have added more and more recipes to the repertoire. Cindy Morgan from Covington, Georgia, worked for me as a teenager in the 1970s. I moved, she moved, and 20 years later, we ran into each other at a swimming pool far from home. We sat by the pool and talked recipes, and she gave me this one. And so it says Southern cornbread dressing, and then Kush, Cush. And
you're asking the wrong person.
Yeah. She says some Southerners refer to their dressing mixture as Kush.
Oh, no, I've never heard that.
The shortened version of the Gullah's Kush. Some suggest that the original word came from
Kush. I've heard of. I've heard Kush before.
She says it. She says that she's like it came from the Arabian couscous, and still others think it's Native American in origin.
Kush. I've heard that before, but I mean, my family grew up. I mean, well, the Gullah people of the Low Country, like I'm not Gullah, my mom's not Gullah. That's the black people, and that's what's interesting about the Gullahs of the Low Country is most of them still speak an African dialect. They don't even know English, so it's a very distinct culture, and so they might call it that, but we call it cornbread. Do other people? Okay, here's the thing about cornbread. I actually really like cornbread if you don't put the corn kernels in it.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
I don't like when you bite into it, there's like a corn kernel in it. And I don't know if that's a Southern thing, cornbread. But this is cornbread. And some people I'll add some of these recipes, guys. I don't know if that's going to pull up. I might have to bring the screen down and pull it up. But yeah, cornbread is really good if you do not put the corn kernels in there. It's disgusting. I'm a
huge fan of hoe cakes.
What's a hoe cake?
My grandmother always called them like crackling bread because she would put like bacon,
Okay.
cracklings in it, and it would be like flat, like fried flat. It doesn't rise. So I guess you make it without. I've never made it, but I love it whenever I come across a restaurant like a country place that's got like a meat and three kind of place, and they'll have like hoe cakes or crackling bread with some big old brown lima beans and some Vidalia onions, and you just sop it up.
Well, actually, it's so funny you said lima beans because I think lima beans is more of a Southern thing too, isn't it? I don't do. I mean, people.
I make them all the time.
I like lima beans.
Mm-hmm.
Lima beans and cornbread. Yeah, lima beans. I love. We used to have those all the time when I was a kid, and I really like lima beans. Yep. The ones I don't know what this white stuff is. We ate the green ones.
Yeah, I always growing up, we always called the big brown ones, the white ones. We called those lima beans, and then we called the green ones butter beans. But now I find that in the grocery store, lima beans are the green ones, and butter beans are the big
yellow ones.
Yeah.
Ones. Let me actually I got the frustrating thing with Zoom is you have to stop share to change pages. But my
while you talk, I'm going to run and go get something out of my fridge that I just made the other day, and it's not going to look very good because it's cold right now. But this is something I did with dressing.
Okay,
something
cool.
New. Be right back.
I am pulling up, you guys. I'm pulling up a Southern mixture of what's called October beans and corn. I'm trying to find the exact recipe. It's a South Georgia thing. My grandmother, from Quitman, Georgia, she used to make October beans and corn all the time, and it was really, really. I actually do like corn. I just don't like corn in. Here's more of what it would look like.
I love corn on the cob. It's my favorite.
Have you heard of the mixture of October beans and corn?
No.
Yeah, it's a South. October beans are an alternative to lima beans. I'm trying to find. Basically, all she would do was mix October beans and corn, and it's a Quitman. It's a South Georgia thing, maybe North Florida thing. And I really, as a kid, I would like her October beans and corn. It looked more like this, but it was browner. And
wow, I can't believe I've never heard of that.
It's so well. Actually, it looked more like this with the corn mixed into it. How she would do it. Do you know what she would make that I absolutely cannot effing stand?
What?
I don't even know what it's called. Jelly salad with like fruit in it.
Yes,
it's so gross.
I know what you're talking about.
What do you actually?
Is it green?
No, it would be like pink.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what's that called?
I don't know.
It was so gross, and we had it like at bless her heart. It was real South Georgia. I love the October beans and corn. I love the drop biscuits she made. I loved her sweet tea with pineapple juice. But this thing, it would every time we ate at their house. I think okay, let me just set the scene. I think a lot of people, their grandparents, you think back at your grandparents' houses, like whenever they were in the pinnacles of their life, their house just kind of stays that way. You go to my dad's parents' house, and on the outside, it was just this beautiful white columns going up outside, a beautiful swimming pool in the back, just beautiful. The lawn was really, but inside, it was like going through a time warp back into the 70s. Like horrific, like the kitchen,
shag carpet and
like avocado green shit, like shag carpeting, like the kitchen had like those big flower wallpapers. Well, their dining room, which we would eat in the dining room like that. We would actually, I mean, I don't even know if people have dining rooms anymore, but at my grandparents, my mom has a dining room actually in her house, and we eat there.
I love setting the table and doing all that. I love to bring out all the things.
My mom does that at Christmas and Thanksgiving, like where it's all nice and fancy, but otherwise you eat at the kitchen table now. But at my grandma's house, the only meal we ate at the kitchen table was like breakfast. But when we go over to eat lunch or whatever at her house, we're always in the dining room. Well, this dining room had a mirror on one of the walls. One of the walls was a full mirror, like the 70s. And so I'd be sitting there and I would be staring at myself in the mirror, and I would have this jelly salad Well,
Like,
it's so gross. And as a kid, I would like have to eat some of it. So I would like pick the little cherry fruit out of it and then just eat like the sugary jello stuff. It would start to like melt over the lettuce. Oh, it was fun to try to find it.
mhm.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Well, I think so. I do know like the cranberry sauce that's in the can. You ever do that? And then people will put here in the South, will put like a dollop of mayonnaise on it.
I'm looking at it. Okay, I'm looking at some pictures.
I wonder if it's cranberry salad. And
It was not cranberries. It was like a
okay.
light pink color.
I wonder if it was light pink because they mixed mayonnaise with it.
Raspberry, maybe. I'm looking at some of these pictures. None of these pictures look the way that. Okay, this one kind of looks like it. All right, I'm going to share images quickly, you guys, and I'm sharing images because as we're filming this, I'm not going to have a chance to super edit this when we get off. So I'm trying to just share pictures as we go. It kind of was like
Oh,
this
yeah.
color,
Ugh.
but it looked like this.
That's so
It was
nasty.
like this color, and it had like these little fruit things inside of it, and it was always on top of a lettuce, a leaf of lettuce. I would have way rather had a pear salad. And it was that she literally made this kind of like look like this.
Yes.
She made this for like every meal. It didn't matter if it was Christmas, Thanksgiving, or freaking Sunday lunch. And I always had to eat a little bit of it. Yeah, it looked kind of like more like this, but it was pink.
Yeah. So my great grandmother made it the green.
Okay.
It was green. So I guess there's just different. Ugh.
Yeah, it was, and everybody else just ate it like it was no big deal. And I literally remember like taking my fork and just like being like, "Huh," like picking the. It was so gross. But I loved everything else that she made. But this was disgusting. I mean, y'all, that's just like rings of like grandma, doesn't it? Looking at these
Wow.
things, it's so gross. Blech.
Yeah.
50 yellow. So okay, let's see. Okay, I just changed screen. Can you see it that I changed screens? Or is it still in the
Yeah.
old screen?
Nauseating jello soaked recipes. You see that down there?
Oh
Nauseating.
my god, y'all. So it said this is the 70s style. So you know how I said going to grandma's house like you're stuck in the 70s still? Yes. This is why we
I kind of want to make one just for fun.
to show your children what we had to sit through when we were kids.
Yeah.
Ew, look at that. It's like, that is disgusting. That is disgusting.
Vienna sausages.
Yes. And that looks like the ravioli O's.
Oh,
Look at that. That's disgusting. I guess that's what your grandmother made. The lime.
yeah, that's it.
I think they use like actual packets of Jello.
Mm-hmm.
Now for
And sometimes there'd be like nuts in it, like little crunchy, like nuts in
we didn't
hers.
have nuts. It was just like, ugh.
Uh-huh.
So for our friends who are from the UK or South Africa or Australia who are watching, so we typically don't say jam for the stuff you put on like a biscuit. We say jelly.
Yeah.
That's our jam. So this would be like so what you guys would call, let's see, jelly is what we call jam. And
Mhm.
this is what we call jelly. This. Ew, with
Oh,
shrimp.
shrimp and oh my gosh.
This is traumatizing. It's traumatizing.
It's funny though.
Blast from the past. Look at this. Disgusting. So what other foods do you ask me traumatize ourselves again? Like I remember kicking my feet, like being so little that my feet didn't touch the ground, and like kicking my feet against the chair and just like picking through the salad, trying to like pop because I would eat like the Jello, but picking out the freaking
chunks.
chunks. And it would start to melt. My grandmother always put it on a leaf, and it was always on a separate plate, like a plate beside the main plate.
Yep.
And it would like start to melt over the leaf. And I remember like watching a big family meals, like watching my aunts and like my cousins and being like, they don't seem to be grossed out by this. Like, why am I grossed out by it? Like they were just eating it. And I was like, this is so fucking disgusting. Like I love the October beans and corn. I love the drop biscuits, the pineapple sweet tea, but that, That was not good. So anyway, what else, Angie? What else do you want to talk about? What other
Well,
fun?
I came up with this idea the other day. This does not look good because it's way left over. It's been in my fridge for several days, but this is dressing, and I made them into muffins,
Oh,
and so they're like single servings, and then they're not crispy anymore. But these are sage leaves that I fried. And so I had them like on top of the little muffins, like when I served them to my friends, and they were really pretty. But this was just left over. But anybody see the sage leaf? It's like fried.
oh yeah. So
It's
I'm
delicious.
pulling up so people can see, Angie, what dressing typically looks like, so people understand like how you've made it individual. If it will pull the picture up here, or is that a video?
um,
Slow. Hold on, let me back out of this so I can pull the pictures up.
but I
And
love this idea because I was taking things to some little old ladies, that are kind of shut in, and I took them like a dressing muffin, and then just the green beans, and it was just kind of little perfect little. It was easy for me to transport, and yeah, because there are a
that's
lot of
what
people alone on Thanksgiving, and they don't need a whole. What are they going to do with a whole casserole?
right, like
So,
you, I found a Southern Living recipe for the dress. Now, I love dressing, but I have to be careful with it because I have to make sure there's no chicken stock used,
that's right.
like vegetable stock that's substituted for vegetable stock.
That's
Um,
true.
but I actually really like the dressing. My Aunt Kathy makes a really good dressing, actually. And yeah, because we don't put it in the turkey. It's not actually put into the turkey. So it's too damn hot. We're like, turkey don't want anything up its ass. It's too hot outside. um, so I'll put that up. Now, Angie, are you going to be writing your own cookbook? Are you going to be like with your
I'm
channel?
trying to work on it. Got a lot going on right now, but I'm trying to work on it. I have been. I mean, I started it a few years back. So we'll see. We'll see. It's
Great.
called Southern Charm with a side of pickles, or pickles with a side of Southern Charm. I'm trying to figure it out, but it's all recipes that I've made forever, and it's kind of staples that some of them are from my children. When Kat comes home, she's always making a certain thing, and just what we all like, and even like nasty stuff like Dorito crusted, fish, and like
I love Doritos
I
though.
know.
It's sad. Whenever I get Doritos at the gas station, I have to eat them in the car because my boyfriend says they smell like dog's feet. So I have to eat them by myself. By my little
I try to keep them away from me, but sometimes, I mean, it's just like, because they're corn chips, so
yeah.
it's like a cornbread. It makes a good. You just crush them up and use them as a dusting over whatever fish or tofu or whatever you're cooking. But
Don't people use Coca-Cola to cook chicken sometimes?
yeah, they do. They do. They stick the
That is
chicken
Southern thing.
with Coca-Cola cans up their butts.
Hey,
Yeah.
I think that's a Southern thing.
Uh-huh.
Coca-Cola chicken. Needless to say, I did not, I don't know what I put there. I totally did not spell chicken, but they use it
Uh-huh.
like, I'm trying to find, I'll pull the pictures up because it actually, like, when the finished product like looks like a grilled chicken. Now, how do they do this, Angie? What they stick it up its butt and like cook it? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I guess the heat, I'm not really sure, but I guess the heat maybe makes the Coke bubble up and go up into the chicken's butt. I don't know.
Like, make the chicken savory. Like, who thought of this? Who was like, you know what, we should try?
People do beer can chicken too, like beer can chicken. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People are too bored. I mean, here's a guy pouring Coca-Cola on top of the chicken.
Uh-huh.
What else, Angie? What else is very Southern? Fried okra. We do fried okra, fried green tomatoes, everything in the
Fried
South.
green tomatoes. I have that on my Instagram recently. I just made fried green tomatoes and fried pickles. I had a whole like plate where I did like fried green tomatoes, fried pickles, fried green beans. Like it was just like a mixture. And with like a dip, like ranch.
Yeah. See, I'm not a green bean fan anyway. Like that's not my favorite vegetable, but I might do fried.
Uh-huh.
I really like fried okra. I didn't even know you could eat okra not fried. That's how Southern I
I like okra
didn't
any way you want to do
realize
it.
that
But
okra can be consumed without being fried. Like I just thought it was always fried. Um, grits. I mean, we could talk about grits too. That's a morning thing.
yep. And then also, I mean, I do shrimp and grits. I
Yeah.
do a lot of like I like that kind of stuff. So um also you can take, so if you make a big thing of grits and you have a bunch of it left over, pour your grits into a Pyrex dish, like a casserole dish, and smooth it out, just like a layer, like cake, and then refrigerate that. And then you can cut that into little squares or rectangles, and you have like grit cakes. And
Oh,
then
wow.
you can top those with different things, whatever your topping is. And so a lot of people, if you're in the low country and all, one year for Thanksgiving, I did a surf and turf Thanksgiving. So it was like a turkey breast with, I know Bryce is like grossing out over all this, but turkey breast covered in crawfish etouffee, like over the
Yeah.
top of it.
That's
So it was
well,
like
I
surf
know
and
New
turf.
Orleans, like they just dump it all on the table and you just eat
Uh-huh.
at the table.
Yeah.
Now grits for our friends, it's like cream of wheat, but it's not the same
Oh,
thing.
no, nothing like
But
it.
very different. But people will compare the two. We don't do cream of wheat down here in the South. We do grits. Now,
Uh-huh. Savory.
savory. When we have our wellness retreat, I'm going to make sure grits are on the menu for
Yeah.
breakfast so people can try cheese. I mean, they do it all. I personally just like them plain. Like I don't like with just like a little butter. I don't like. Not a huge fan of like cheese grits. But grits, toasted raisin bread with butter, like that's a Waffle House
I
special.
do, Bryce, I do a grit bar sometimes, like for New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Like I'll do a grit bar, like where I have like one of those um things. I got it at Sam's Club. It's got 3 crock pots that you just turn on and you can have it. And I would do
Oh, like a
I would do 3
buffet for
different
buffet.
kinds.
Yeah.
And then I'll put all the different fixings over to the side and people just make their own grit bowls. So it's just an
That would be good.
easy,
Yeah.
very
And
easy thing to do.
it's pretty healthy. I mean, you can make it
Mhm.
unhealthy if you want to.
Oh, and
But
they do whatever they want. It's kind of like doing tacos, but they're just, people just get to choose what they want to put in their grit bowl. So that's a really good, easy party idea. And also, I think it'd be a really good Thanksgiving thing to do. Really low key, just like, here it is, come through and make your own plate. And you don't have to, we should not be forced to eat all this crap and put it on our plates that we don't really want.
well, my family knows I'm not going to do that. Like I just dropped, hold on. I dropped the cap to my pen. My family knows, like everybody will sit down at Thanksgiving meal with like, they'll go and get all the food and they'll sit down, their plates will be full. My plate's like, it looks like a kid's plate. It's like, it's like these just very selective things. But listen, y'all, my aunts know they were when I was 6 months old, I was in Eggleston Children's Hospital because my colon was so jacked up. I wasn't even eating solid foods yet. And I just I could not digest anything. So my family very much understands that I am not to eat something just to be polite when you have colon issues is not worth it
No.
because and I that was one of the biggest points of contention when my boyfriend and I started dating because he has no food issues. He has no food allergies.
Wow, that would be so nice.
I know. And he could not understand. He thought he was going to like fix my food allergies. And I kept saying, because he's a chef, and I kept saying, no, I've dealt with this my whole life. I know what to eat and I know what not to eat. And then he would go to make something and he would put I would tell him I can't use certain oils. And he put a little of that oil and he goes, oh, it's just a little bit. I'm like, a little bit will make me sick for a week. And so finally, this last sickness we had where I was like sick for 9 days with a fever and then he got it. And I said, I want you to remember how miserable you felt for that 9 days. Then every time you tell me, oh, it's just a little bit of olive oil, it's just a little bit of this, that misery you were in for 9 days is what that little bit does to me.
Yeah, you're better with, I would think, ghee.
Yeah, I do use ghee. I can't, and I will say, you guys, especially when it comes to oils, you have to be very careful. Oils come in fads. Like coconut oil is a fad right now. I had somebody on my channel that was consistently commenting that everyone needed to eat coconut oil. That is dangerous. If you are Vata like me, coconut oil can literally kill you. Okay, it's too vata. But for someone who's kapha, coconut oil is amazing. So you really have to be careful when it comes to those ingredients, especially if you have a sensitive stomach.
I do better with like butter,
Yeah.
ghee.
I don't do good. I don't do well with oils at all.
You would never do this, but also like bacon grease. I can do that. It's great with me. But a lot of times, like any kind of seed oils don't agree with me at all.
I don't do well with oils, any oil really. I struggle with it. And it's funny because I can walk into restaurants and smell. I might not be a good cook, but I can smell if I'm going to be sick.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't know what that was. And it was my boyfriend that actually said, you're smelling the oil. So you're picking up on what oils your body's telling you. No go. So finally he accepted that there's no way to fix this. I remember, so like tomatoes, raw tomatoes for vatas are not great, but cooked tomatoes, like tomato soups, are good, or can be. And there's this one restaurant here in Atlanta that makes really good tomato soup that sits really well with my stomach. And so I would go pick it up. And finally one day he was like, oh, I can make you tomato. And bless his heart, like he always wants to cook for me, but that I just can't. That's his love language. And I just can't eat half of his food. And so he made me this big bowl of tomato soup, and I knew it was going to make me sick. I knew, and I kept saying, please don't do this. Please don't do this. It's nothing against your cooking. It's just whatever ingredients you're choosing to use are not good with me. And I ate a bowl. 30 minutes later, I was in the toilet projectile vomiting. And he was like, oh, I was like, yeah, for some reason, this restaurant, whatever ingredients they use, it sits well with me. But whatever ingredients you use, I could smell it was not going to sit well with me. And so, yeah, it's, so that's another, anytime you're making food and someone opts not to eat some of your food, don't be offended. It might just be that they literally have an allergy that they cannot,
and for anybody out there watching this, like, oh, I mean, I'm allergic to so many things. I mean, I have to be so careful. I mean, I ate a little pizza and I knew better. Like, I have a hard time with gluten. I always have, and people say that's a fad. No, for me, it's really a real thing. I really have a hard time with breads, and I love bread. But I know that I'm just going to have to just suck it up and just like be bloated and, miserable. But and I can still hear, like right now, when I think about Thanksgiving and all my family sitting around in South Georgia, I can hear it right now. After they eat, and they're like buttoning their pants and all. I'm like, oh no, just give me a spinach salad and I'll be good. Some blue cheese on it, some strawberries.
Cream cheese and jelly pepper, and we're good. We call it a day. And some Ritz crackers, we're good, baby.
But that's why, I figured this restaurant in Helen, I can't think of the name of it right now, that it's a German restaurant, and they said they're doing a Thanksgiving buffet kind of thing, but they're also going to have their regular menu going the whole time too. So I'm like, well, okay, so we can choose.
Yeah.
Choose what you want. I mean, I so look forward to that much more than the forced family feast.
Yeah. Well, y'all, it's coming up about an hour and a half now, so I'm a little over an hour. And you guys, Angie and I want to hear from you guys. For the Americans, put your favorite dish title in the comment section that's specific to Thanksgiving. For all of the Europeans and our friends from other countries, whatever holiday dish, specifically a holiday dish, whatever holiday that is that you like, put that in the comment section below. And then we'll see if maybe, Angie, you can look through them. And if there's any dishes that pop out to you that aren't traditional for us, would you want to try to make it?
I would love that.
I'll come over. We can, I can't help you, girl. It'd be a disaster. It would be an offense to the country that it comes from if I tried to make it, but I can film it. We can try it with you. If it's something I can eat, well, that'd be kind of fun. Yeah. And I know on Aquarius Rising Africa, everyone was saying they wanted to try the pineapple casserole specifically. So I'll tell you what, you guys, if you're from an area that doesn't traditionally make these casseroles, so for the Southerners or for the Americans that typically make this casserole, I'm not talking to you because you got experience. Okay. I want the people that have never done these casseroles before. If you're going to try to make these casseroles, will you send me a picture of your finished product, and I will create a reel of everybody's pineapple casseroles or, hash brown casserole, whatever it is you choose to make. Will you email me that picture and I will create a reel and we can show, that's the thing about culture, right? I'm proud of being Southern. I love being from the South. I think the South is one of the coolest places. It's eccentric. We got our ghosts. We got all that fun magic stuff. And we also have these really interesting food dishes. And that's something that you should be proud of, your culture. So even if you're from the North and you've got like a Yankee style dish for Thanksgiving or Christmas you make, or from out West or whatever, just send me that information, because our cultures are meant to be shared with each other. So share it with us and we'll share it with the world.
Rosie, what's your least favorite Thanksgiving food? Come say hello. People will love seeing you. They always love seeing you.
I'm in my headband. I just did all my skincare and everything.
Oh, you look beautiful then. Your skin's perfect.
Oh, my skin is.
What's your least favorite Thanksgiving food? Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know.
Dry turkey.
I guess so.
Jip salad.
Didn't like dressing. She didn't like, well, yeah.
I don't know.
Guess what?
I like cranberry sauce.
You do like the cranberry sauce?
Yeah, and I like the dark turkey meat better than the.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, this year you just get to have whatever you want. No forced feast.
I love Thanksgiving food.
Oh.
Is pumpkin pie like a normal?
Yeah, that's it. That's another thing. Is
I don't like pumpkin pie.
You love pumpkin pie. She loves pumpkin pie.
Oh wow. We've never had pumpkin pie at our family Thanksgiving since nobody likes it. We have pecan pie, we have chess pie. Is that a southern thing? Chess pie?
Yeah, I like chess pie. I do love chess pie. Yes. Yeah, go get my purse. My car keys are in the purse, in my black purse over there. Okay.
Yeah, my mom's mom would never even mess with dessert. She would just buy a box full of ice cream sandwiches.
Yeah.
And when I was a little kid, I did not like the. I'm not a huge chocolate fan. When I was little, I did not like the chocolate bready part. I just liked the vanilla ice cream in the middle. So my sweet mama's mama, in her high heels and pearls, would get a bowl out and would pull the chocolate biscuits off of it, the part, and then smush the ice cream in the bowl for me. Picky eater since day one.
Well, my go-to dessert that I make in holiday time is not for children at all.
That sounds fun.
It's called Heavenly Tiddly, and it's a recipe from a man from Athens, Georgia, and it is an alcoholic beverage.
Girl,
it's like vanilla bean ice cream, or you could use coffee ice cream, and then you use Kahlua, cream de cocoa, and vodka.
That sounds fantastic.
And I will like make them pre-made and have them in the freezer ready to go, and I'll like shave like chocolate, like dark chocolate over the top, and yes. And, a lot of times the kids will have a little bit, but it's.
I told you the story when I was 14. My dad's dad took me to the country club for dinner. For some reason, it was just him and me. I don't remember why. And we were sitting there and he ordered me a cocktail at 14. And the waiter kind of looked at him and he goes, "She's my granddaughter. It's my responsibility to teach her how to drink." And he said,
right. I remember that.
I was 14 years old with this cocktail. My granddad was like, and everybody at that country club knew who my granddad was, and no one was batting an eye because I was his granddaughter and he was going to teach me how to drink a damn cocktail. So, now apparently my mom's dad, if you were a man in his presence and you ordered a cocktail that was a little too girly, he would say something to you about your choice in cocktails. So anyway, all right, you guys.
Cheers, y'all.
Cheers, y'all. Y'all come back now. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. We've got some great stuff coming up. I know we got some more shows planned with Angie and Jessica. And I've got to do some more research, though, for some of these shows that we'll be planning. Hopefully we'll get a few in before Christmas, but I know it's a crazy time of year. So we've got lots of good stuff coming.
I'm really interested in all these bogs, like where Indians would bury and like that. Yeah. So somebody sent me some other stuff. Oh, and I've got a lot of things I need to share with you that people have been sending me. So
okay. Well, we'll get into that at some point after, this is like somebody said on social media the other day that October, November, December are like the Friday, Saturday, Sunday of the year. So it's quite crazy this time of year. But all right, you guys, for the Americans out there, I hope you have a really, really happy Thanksgiving. To the non-Americans out there, I hope you have a really, really happy Thursday. And let us know your family recipes or what you like down in the comment section below. And I'm going to have a list of all these recipes that we talked about. It's going to be in the description box. Most of them are Southern Living recipes. For those who are not from the United States, Southern Living is a very reputable, it's a magazine, but they do really good recipes, really good. So I'm going to put all those in the description box. And if you try to make some of these, send me pictures of what you created. All right, you guys, I'm going to put all Angie's information in the description box so you can make sure you subscribe to her channel as well, and maybe encourage Angie to get her cooking show started.
I know. I've got to talk to Jay. We'll talk about that another time, but yeah.
All right, you guys.
Excited about it.
Soon. Bye, everybody.
Let